Hello everyone and welcome to week 8 of the GBA D-League. Your New York Empoleon are currently riding a nice 5-game winning streak, but we've got our work cut out for us here this week against Melon Toshington, coach of the Exeter's Chief Electivires. I always want to say Exeter City, I don't know why. Exeter Chief Electivires here this week. Now he is currently 4-3 I believe, so we are going to be going up against an opponent who is fighting for that playoff spot. He's going to be giving it his all. We need to make sure we're doing the same because we don't have the luxury of being any sort of much better than he is. 5-2 is not a guaranteed spot, so we are going to push ourselves as hard as we can this week. Now, what we're expecting him to bring this week: Gengar, Rotom Wash, Mew, Zygarde 50%, Mega Charizard Y, and Snorlax are the 6 he's going to bring, I think. But if he brings the Cobalion, if he brings the Rabombi, the Victory Bell, those are all big threats, so I do have to watch out for some of those things. I have prepped as well as I can for everything on his team. I don't really have like a, I'm predicting this and not expecting this. Everything on his team is a threat, and so I've got to make sure that I can handle it. Now, we are going to be bringing to counter that Ditto, Tornadus Eye, Haxorus, Milotic, Victini, and Gigalith this week. Now, wow. If you haven't already watched, I hope you guys go watch the Team Builder. It's great. It's a very interesting look at a very creative team, in my opinion, this week. The team we're bringing is not exactly what I'd call standard. We are bringing our brand new pickup in Haxorus this week. I think it presents a really good matchup against his team, and I think it really works well in making sure that we can take out those big threats and those big walls. Melon has gone to timer once or twice this season, so I don't want to do that, and a Milotic versus Snorlax fight certainly can do that, so I'm going to try to watch out for that. Obviously, I'm going to play to all my outs if possible. Now, hopefully you guys enjoy this battle, and I will see you guys back here in a second. Alright, everyone, welcome back. Here we go. Let's get right into it. Let's see what Melon's bringing, and we'll get this battle underway for you guys. Now, I don't remember if I said it in the intro, but go check out Melon's side of the That's not a good start. Let's go check out Melon's side of the battle if you want to. His link will always be in the description below, so definitely make sure that you get over there, see his side. He's British, so he's way cooler to listen to than I am. So we see the Cobalion, we see the Piloswine. No, what's the other one that I have here that he doesn't bring? Rotom? Okay, so Piloswine, no Rotom. Cobalion's here. Mew. Okay, so no Rotom. Hold on. Let me like log it all in my notes and everything. All right. So, predictable leads here. Piloswine sets up his rocks for him pretty freely. Otherwise, I could see him just leading with Zygarde and trying to get something shenanigan-y off with that. I don't think I have anything that's going to Oko a Piloswine, so I do have to watch out for that thing. Now, I could lead with my Tornadus, but it might just straight die to a Piloswine Icicle Crash. So I definitely don't think that's going to work out for me super well. Now, I do have Phytinium Z on it, which does have a chance to Oko if he's not running max bulk on it. I could also lead with my Milotic. I think Milotic's a safe lead against anything on his team. It fires off a Scald pretty freely, gets its Flame Orb off, and if he does set up his rocks, I do have Defog on my Tornadus for later on in the game with Prankster, so that's totally fine. Good luck to Melon, and we're going to get this battle underway, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying the content that I'm bringing to you here on the GBA. I know there was a week break that was scheduled in. Some coaches were falling behind on getting their battles recorded, so we decided we were going to take 1 week off. That was not like a bye or anything like that. These battles are all still taking place. It was just to help people get back on schedule for uploading. Now Mufasa comes out. Mufasa is the Cobalion. Now he could go straight for the Volt Switch. That would do the most damage to my Milotic. Obviously I'm not Flame Orb yet. I could just go straight for a Recover here to see what he wants to do, but I really don't want him setting up a sub or anything like that, or a Swords Dance for free. So I'm going to go for the Scald. It's free, it hits everything neutrally on his entire team, so there's the Volt Switch straight up. Let's see how much it's going to do. It's going to do very little, so he's not specially invested at all, so that's fine. He's probably actually jolly by that count. Yeah, Volt Switch should have even done... yeah, he's probably jolly with no investment based on that damage, so yeah. Which works for me. I don't mind that. That means that Milotic is doing just fine. It's going to get a Scald off here. Mew 1. Oh, the Mew Ditto fight. Alright, so Mew comes out. We are going to click Scald here. I prefer not to burn it, and we don't. Now, if I burned it, it would have been fine. He would have just burned me back with his Synchronize, but I'd actually rather click Toxic on this thing. If he does go back into Cobalion, that's a crazy play, honestly. But I am going to click Toxic on the Mew. He might be running Heal Bell on it. If he is, I gotta know. I really need to learn about this Mew's set, honestly, is really what's going on. He's got so many Pokemon on his team that could have rocks between Mew and Piloswine and Cobalion. His Cobalion didn't lead with rocks, probably because he didn't want to get burned, so he is going to go for a Psychic. Is he going to be like Specs? Is this going to do a lot of damage? No. Okay, so Psychic comes out from a Mew. Very uninvested Mew, that's for sure. We are going to take it just fine. And Synchronize is going to fail, so now his Mew is Toxic. He's got Leftovers, which I should write down. He's obviously got Synchronize on his Mew. Now, Milotic is a little bit worn down at this point, so I am going to click Recover just to, again, continue to scout out what this Mew wants to do to me. Psychic, obviously, not an unpredictable play for him to have. I don't have any Dark... Oh, I have Bisharp, but if he's probably got Aura Sphere for that. And I didn't bring it, which is totally fine. And it would have actually done quite well against most of his team, but the Cobalion scared my Bisharp out enough that it really wasn't worth bringing it this week. Low Kick would have been nice to have, though. And I really think Bisharp... I mean, it could have come, it could not, and I think he had to build for it, and I'm kind of glad I didn't bring it. So he's going to switch out here. Going to go straight out into Rygar the Charizard, I believe is what that is. So yes, Rygar the Charizard. And we're going to recover here. So we are going to be back to full health. We are going to try to see if he has the Solar Beam. And if he does have Solar Beam, and he's, let's say, modest max special attack in the sun, Solar Beam will not kill my Milotic from full, but it will do a lot of damage. Now, I could go straight into Victini here, which would eat the Solar Beam. It eats an Air Slash from Charizard, and it puts up a V-Create in the sun that, I mean, that's not... Charizard does not like V-Create in the sun, let's just say. Nothing on his team likes V-Create in the sun. Even Thick Fat Snorlax takes about 40% from a sun-boosted V-Create. Now, the risk that I run with putting Victini in there is that he could not go for... He could predict something, go for an Air Slash or something, and Air Slash would do a pretty decent chunk to Victini. It's going to be about 50%, and I really don't love that. Now, I could also go out into my... No, I think Victini or Ditto are the only two switches, but I'm going to go into Victini here. We're going to kind of scout out what this Charizard wants to do if it does have the Solar Beam. I think if he brought it in on Milotic like that, he probably does have the Solar Beam. And... So let's see. What does Charizard do to Victini here? He is going to have the Drought, obviously set up the Sun for himself. And he goes for the Toxic, but he misses the Toxic. So he predicts the switch, but he misses the Toxic. Now that gives me a wildly free V-Create right now. Now Bolt Strike is also an option, which hits the Snorlax a little bit harder, but it doesn't hit the Zygarde at all. And Zygarde is a pretty decent switch-in to me. And so I do want to not necessarily just click Bolt Strike and get that a free switch. I could go for a U-turn here. I think V-Create's the play. He may stay in to scout if I'm Scarfed, which I'm not. I'm actually Banded. So Balowski comes out. That's going to be the Snorlax. This thing is still not going to appreciate a Sun-boosted Choice Banded Max Attack V-Create from Victini. So let's see how much this does. And that is a straight 2-hit KO on a Snorlax, and we still outspeed this thing, even at -1. So I actually am totally fine to just click V-Create again. He's not going to be able to take that well. That may completely reveal that I'm Choice Banded, but I don't care. Sun-boosted V-Create from Victini is going to do a hefty chunk to anything he switches in here. Piloswine, yeah, it's got the Thick Fat, but you give me that Sun, and I'm going to take advantage of it. Base 180 power move. This thing is going to wreck something, so I could just take out his Snorlax, which would be absolutely amazing right now. He may switch it out and preserve it for later. That's okay if he does decide to do that. Something's going to take a hit. Charizard might die to this if he's not invested. Zygarde takes about 80% from this. Cobalion dies. Mew takes about 60% from this. and Piloswine probably takes about 80%. Now, I will have to switch out after this one. Obviously, Victini's too important for me to lose right now, but since I do still outspeed the Snorlax, I am able to take another one of these, or dish out another one of these. And honestly, I don't know if that makes this thing thick fat. Probably not. It's not Gluttony, clearly, because he didn't have the berry. It might have proven that he's thick fat just because it didn't kill. Yeah, thick fat. Yeah, he's thick fat. And awesomely enough, that still does like 70% to a thick fat Snorlax that's invested. So definitely another one will kill from here, even after the leftovers. And he does not outspeed me, even though I'm at -1. So that gives me... Yeah, he's going to switch out. He's not going to let the Snorlax go down right now. He thought that was a switch into Victini. Zygarde comes out. Now, this thing is pretty terrifying, honestly. He is going to have the ability to set up a Dragon Dance right now. And I don't want to lose Victini, so there's no reason for me to stay in on the Zygarde and risk that. So I don't think it's worth... I think it's better for him to get a Dragon Dance up and for me to handle it later in another way with something like Milotic. He got leftovers on literally everything. Holy leftovers. So leftovers on the Zygarde as well. Now, I do have the Milotic as a pretty safe, pretty free switch into a Zygarde. If he does set up a sub, I know the sun is up, so I don't know if I'm necessarily going to break a sub with a Scald, but that isn't really that big of a deal. And if you start setting up Dragon Dances behind a sub, then I've got things to worry about. But honestly, Milotic can take a couple of hits from this thing, so I should be able to break any sub. I also have the Haze if he does, you know, sit behind a sub and it's a problem. So we are going to switch our Victini out. There's no reason to let this thing die. And we still have the Ditto as well in the back, so as long as I come in on a broken sub, it's not a big deal. So let's see, there is the substitute. And I could have stayed in. It really was an obvious play that he wasn't going to go for an attack there because it was obvious that I was going to switch out. But even though the sun is up right now, Milotic's going to take basically no damage from this thing. Let's take a look at Zygarde. And let's say he's max attack. Let's say he's adamant. And let's say he's got outreach. He's doing 27%. And Milotic, it's the sun, so I don't break the sub with a Scald. But 2 Scalds does, and he can't kill me with anything. So he just goes straight for 1,000 arrows here. And how much is this going to do? Yeah, like 20%. And I know the sun is up, so I know the Scald doesn't break a substitute. But if I break it on the next one, he still doesn't. Yeah, he still doesn't get his another one up. So, right? Let me check. I want to make sure he's under 25% right now. I do have the technology in order to do that. So let me... Why are you being difficult? Stream software, why are you being difficult? Okay, so let's go, let's put that up. So he is just over 25%, so he will be able to put another substitute down, but that's okay. We're just going to go for a Scald here. He coils, so he's going to go for the coil here. We will break the sub on this Scald, but another one outside of the sun will break another substitute, and he'll be back down below. So we are going to break it here, and that's fine. Now, one option is going out into Ditto, just knowing that he doesn't have a substitute yet, but I don't necessarily think that's the right play, since it's a really big risk to take this thing and let him sub up and then have it in front of my Ditto. So I'm going to click Scald again. If he has enough bulk investment for him to take the Scald, then I recover, and then I go for a Haze. Because I can still take any one hit from this thing at +1. So if he does have the investment in order to not have a Scald break a substitute, that's actually okay. And let's see, what is he going to go for? Does he just sub again? Yeah, he just subs again. So that's okay. We are just going to put the Scald in play, see what happens. Does this break the sub? And if not, then we recover and we Haze. Sub does not fade, so he does have the bulk investment to take that. So that's okay. Again, like I said, we just recover here and then we Haze on the next turn. And he's still not going to be able to set up another substitute. So we're going to... he might coil again here. Coil would actually be perfect. 1,000 arrows, that's fine. We take that just okay. Even at +1, it's going to do about 30%, maybe 40%. But we are going to be able to recover at this point. And then I'm going to go for the Haze just to make sure that he's not doing a lot of damage, because now I can take 2, both that and then an unboosted one. Then we Scald. He can't set up a sub, because even after 2 more turns, he shouldn't be back to 25%. Let's take a look again. Sorry, the way that I have it set up, I don't necessarily see. So after 2 more turns, he will be able to set up another substitute. But after 1 more turn, he won't. But I'm going to click Haze here. He might coil a second time. So he's going to do 1,000 arrows, and I'm just going to click Haze. It goes through the substitute. So that's fine. And so he's going to lose that +1. I can then recover again, since he'll already be able to set up a sub anyway. And so, or do I just break his sub here? Oh, it's close. Well, he'll have another leftovers. But there's no reason to lose my Lodic, so I'm just gonna click recover here. He may coil again, but this is the game we're playing right now. He can't break me with 1,000 arrows without a boost, and so my Lodic's gonna take that on 4, but does give us a chance to recover here. That's a crit. We live the crit. Thank God. That would have been a really, really unfortunate time to lose my Lodic right now. But now we get to click Scald again and break his sub. I believe, yeah, 2 shouldn't kill from there. Yeah, actually, it might. 2 might kill from there. So I'm just going to click recover again. He goes for the coil. Okay. We'll just haze, and then we'll just... I think we just scald, then we haze. Or we just haze, then we scald. I kind of like the scald, then haze play, honestly. Although then I have to take 2 boosted attacks, as opposed to just 1. Bit of a pickle in this case. But I think Scald, actually might be the best play. Or because Haze, he can't break my Lodic if I Haze, so we got time. We got all the time in the world here. He's getting a little bit more leftovers than I want him to get, but at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. And so he is going to go for 1,000 arrows again. We are stuck in this little spot right now where my Lodic is just able to handle this Zygarde, and then I go for a Scald, which breaks his substitute, force him to go for another substitute, where I can Scald again, and so he's gonna get these leftovers, man. These leftovers, he's just munching away on these things. So yeah, we're gonna Scald again, force him to go for whatever. He can't 2 KO 1,000 arrows without a boost, so he's just 1,000 arrows again. We're gonna Scald, and then we can recover, and he can sub up again if he wants. So substitute fades. Now, do I gain any field position by switching out right now? That's the real question, is do I gain something by switching out? I don't think so. I think I gain more from clicking recover. Because I just eventually stall out this Zygarde. 1,000 arrows does not have infinite accuracy, or not infinite accuracy, infinite usages. I actually don't remember off the top of my head how many he has or how many he's used. I didn't think to be counting them. But if that's his only attacking move, and I don't know what his last move is, it might be Outrage, but he doesn't want to lock himself into it. Let me see, 1,000 arrows is max 16 PP, and he's probably used about 8 of them. I wasn't counting. That was not something I was expecting to have to count. So he's about 50% right now. It's also possible Scald has a range to break his sub, but it's possible he just put enough bulk investment that Scald doesn't break the sub. And I can recover here pretty safely. He can switch out. That's definitely an option. If his Snorlax has rest, he could switch into his Snorlax right now and get that rest up and be back to full health. And that's exactly what he's going to do. So I'm going to predict that this thing has the rest on it. And that's what he's going to go for here. I don't want my Milotic to take any damage more than it has to. And so he's going to be back to just above 50%. Now, he could have Earthquake. He could have Body Slam. I know he's thick fat, and I know he's pretty bulky in order to have taken that hit from Victini as well as he did. Now I could go out into my Haxorus here and set up a Dragon Dance. But then I have to take 2 hits potentially from this thing. I could go into Tornadus here. Tornadus is designed to handle a Snorlax, and since he doesn't have Gengar or Spiritomb, then my Fightinium Z is going to hit something hard. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go out into my Tornadus here. Milotic, we know, checks his Zygarde very well. So he goes straight for a return. Is he max happiness this time? Unclear. Probably, I mean, he may be uninvested. But that gives me a free Fightinium Z on this thing, if I want to. Which I think I do, because anything that switches in doesn't appreciate that, with the exception of Mega Charizard, which definitely could come in here, but I really don't think that's a great switch on his part. And like, I just really don't see that coming in, and if I do have to just click regular Superpower later, that's okay. We're just going to go for that Fightinium Z on the Snorlax. See what he wants to do to handle my Tornadus. He doesn't know what set it is. It could be running Icy Wind. And even when I click Fightinium Z, he doesn't know if I'm physical or special, because it could have Focus Blast. Which actually, Fightinium Z probably should be on Focus Blast, just because it's a lower accuracy move. So he may think that I do have the Icy Wind for the Zygarde. Cobalion can't switch in on this. Piloswine doesn't want to switch in on this. Mew could switch in on this, but I have the knockoff for it afterwards. And we know he's Leftovers, not Culverberry, so that'll help me take that thing out. This thing should, except for Charizard Y, which would be a very bold play on my part, or on his part, this thing should take something out at this point. Now I do have the Sand on my Gigalith this week as well, so I don't have to hard switch into Victini on the Charizard if it does come in. The other thing is that Victini does handle literally anything on his team if the sun is up, so I can use his sun against him as I did last time, get a safe switch into Victini, and just start wall breaking with that. Now, if Snorlax does stay in, it's dead. There's no amount of investment that he can have. We know he's not Choppleberry. If he does switch out into 4 of his 6 members of his team, Snorlax, Piloswine, Cobalion, and Zygarde, 50% will all die to this plus 1 hit. Mew should also theoretically die. He does stay in. Let's make sure. I always get nervous right before I see this attack go off, just to make sure that it does kill. So he's got Return on the Snorlax, but I do want this thing dead. Getting rid of this thing frees up a lot of availability for my switches and stuff. So we are going to see. Let's take a look. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Yeah, there's no amount of investment, I think, that can take that. So Tornadus, kills Snorlax with all-out pummeling. And he still doesn't know if I'm physical or special, which is perfect, because he can't safely go into Zygarde at this point. And if he does go into the Zygarde here, I think I just click knockoff on those Leftovers. If he goes into Piloswine, he could Ice Shard. That would kill from here, and I don't really want to take that. I definitely don't want to just die for no reason. This thing does still have a lot of value to me. He can set up his rocks here, which would honestly be probably worst case scenario if he does decide to do that. I can taunt him and just stop him from setting up his rocks with this thing on this particular switch-in. Yeah, that would actually probably be my best play. Let's take a look at Choice Banded Victini to a Piloswine. If he's not defensively invested, V-Create kills. What if he's like max defense, Impish, Eviolite? V-Create doesn't quite kill if he is. Which means I don't necessarily want to hard switch in Victini there. But I think taunting is my best play. If he does go for the Ice Shard to take me out, that's alright. And if he doesn't go for the Ice Shard to take me out, then we get a lot of value out of this taunt. So let's take a look at what he's going to do here. Can't use Stealth Rock after the taunt. Perfect. So he's going to be Eviolite. He's going to be Stealth Rock. And that actually means that I do get a free switch, if I want it, into something else. Perhaps the Milotic, but he could knockoff's not a big deal on Milotic. I could also click knockoff on this thing, and then bring my Victini in on the following turn. He could have Ice Shard, but if he's running a defensive set, Ice Shard doesn't kill, I don't believe. So that is something to note. It gives me a lot of information about this thing. Let's say he's not max attack adamant. Let's say he's 0 attack impish, or 4 attack impish. Ice Shard does 62 to 74, so it does kill. Most likely. The question is, would he be running Ice Shard? Probably, right? I think my best... wow, that was not English. This thing does outspeed Cobalion later, so I do think it's valuable to have. I think my best switch is either into Ditto or into Milotic. I'm going to go out into the Milotic here, just so he can't knock off on my Victini. And so Milotic's going to come in. Let's see the Ice Shard. Let's see it. Just go straight for the EQ, so he does predict the switch out there. Imagine if I had stayed in and gone for a knockoff. That would have been wild. So he does have the EQ, but this gives me a recover here if I want it. I think Scald is actually a slightly better play since I do outspeed a Piloswine. Or Toxic. Does he go into the Cobalion here? Or he could go to the Mew here. It's already Toxic, so that doesn't give me a lot of value. So I'm going to click Recover. Yeah, I'm going to click Recover, just because that Earthquake did enough to 2-hit KO, and if he does go into Zygarde here, I definitely want to be a little bit healthier. So Mufasa comes out. That is the Cobalion. That's fine. I just click Scald on the next turn. We'll see what he decides to go for here. Now, let's see. Scald comes out. He could Swords Dance in my face, but I have the Haze. He could Volt Switch, but I'm clicking Scald, which hits anything hard, and can give us a read on anything and potentially burn something, except for the Charizard and the Mew. Mew because it's already poisoned, and Charizard because it's Fire type. Interestingly enough, I think Charizard is his best play, so he goes for the Taunt here on my Milotic, which is clicking Scald. Clicking Scald anyway. So that's fine. He might try to set up on me. No burn, but I'm going to click Scald again. If he does decide to set up a Swords Dance, that's okay. And if he does Volt Switch out, then I'm clicking Scald again. So he does Volt Switch. He knows that I'm going for Scald. He has seen my entire set at this point, so the only move I have to hit him is Scald. And he's going to go out into Mew? Charizard? He doesn't want his Piloswine or his Zygarde getting burned, that's for sure. Now he could go into a Zygarde here, knowing that Scald, taking that risk of the 30% burn, but then otherwise being able to substitute and stall. So that's Charizard, so that's fine. So Charizard comes out here, and I will obviously have to switch out. Milotic is definitely still healthy enough to be very, very valuable later in the game. And I can go into Victini, which is what I made, it's the play I made last time. But he knows that I'm not Scarfed now, so he knows that he would Speed Tie with me in the worst case scenario for me. And he could just go straight for an Air Slash here. I could go into Ditto as well, but I actually think the optimal play is going to be going out into Gigalith. He could have the Focus Blast. That would be a play. That would be quite a play. Gigalith, I think, it blocks the Solar Beam, and it's able to handle this Charizard with Rock Blast on the following turn. Now, if he has the Focus Blast, and predicts this Gigalith switch in, that'd be pretty wild. But I am going to go into Gigalith here, and if he does go for a Solar Beam, then I can either click Stealth Rock or Rock Blast. And we take away his Sun from his Zard. So what did you click? Goes for the Toxic again. This time he lands it. That's fine. Gigalith Gigalith here can set up his rocks pretty freely. If he does have Focus Blast, I do take one with the sand, and he gets buffed a little bit. Now I can, and because I do have the Hidden Power Ice on this thing, his Zygarde doesn't get up a free substitute. I could just Rock Blast, but I think that's a little bit inoptimal. His Mew could come out here. I think Rock Blast actually may be a better play than Rocks here. Charizard's the only thing the Rocks really... Piloswine doesn't like Rocks either. We're going to set up our Rocks. He's been switching a lot. And if he goes into the Mew here, then I just switch out again. Goes for the Zygarde. I've got the Shuka Berry. So he's going to reverse my Auras. That's fine. We're going to set up our Rocks. And he might set up a substitute here, predicting a switch. I'm going to go for the Hidden Power Ice, regardless of what he decides to do. Hidden Power Ice, if he's not invested, because I didn't make it a minus special attack nature, should do something to like 40% to this. And so if he does decide to set up a sub, this should break it. And so he does substitute. So he's gonna see that we are rocking the HP Ice on this Gigalith, which should break this substitute unless he's like super bulky. Yeah. So it does break the sub. He's gonna be like, what the heck was that? Hidden Power Ice Gigalith coming out right now. A little bit of toxic damage. We do have the Shuka Berry, which should allow us to take 1,000 arrows from here, and I would love to get a Hidden Power Ice off on this thing with my Gigalith. So if he does go for the 1,000 arrows, we eat our Shuka, and we take out a Zygarde. And if we don't, at this turn, if he goes for another substitute to get a little bit more toxic damage, that is pretty much fine, because Earthquake, 90 base power. If he's max attack adamant, which I don't think he's necessarily max attack adamant just because he has a little bit of bulk investment, is only doing like max 52 damage to my Gigalith, just because I have the Shuka Berry. And so he actually is just going to straight switch out of his Zygarde. He does not like to see that. So Mufasa comes out. That's the Empoleon here. Little Stealth Rock, little HP Ice here. I think Gigalith still has a lot of value to me later. So I definitely don't want to just like let it go down, because I do have that Shuka Berry, which means I do survive another turn. Another turn of Zygarde. He could just go for the Fighting type move here. Like close combat's pretty safe and pretty free. Do I just let my Gigalith go down? I don't really want him getting the Sun on his own. You know, I don't want him like, but I don't want him setting up a Swords Dance. I think Swords Dance is honestly more threatening than the Sun, and I do have the Superpower right now. I'm gonna click Superpower. If he tries to set up in front of me, he just Volt Switches, which I think we take. Yeah, we take that just fine. Goes out into... What you gonna do? What's about to take a Superpower? Mew? Mew would be the best thing. But if I'm going for Earthquake, Mew's not the best thing. Charizard's the best thing. Which Charizard actually makes sense here, because he gets his Sun back. Goes out to Mew. Okay. So Mew comes out. We know it's toxic. We get some Stealth Rocks, we get some Superpower. And we actually will switch out at this point, just because I think we do get a little bit left with the toxic damage. Just a sliver left, if anything. And so I do have the ability to get the sand up one more time, potentially. No, we don't. Okay, so we don't live the toxic. That's all right. So actually, it's gonna be Mega Charizard Y. Kills Gigalith with toxic damage. And now Mew is in here. Now I can just go into Victini. And once again, straight click V-Create, and literally nothing wants to take that hit from the Victini. But that does give him ability to go into his Zygarde and substitute again. I could go into my Haxorus, set up to +1. If he Will-O-Wisps, I have the Lumberry. And where's my Haxorus calc on a Mew? Let's say he's like very defensive. And we are going to say we have a +1 boost. +1 Outrage should kill a Mew after a Toxic. And that doesn't allow him to safely go into his Zygarde. It allows him to potentially, if I'm outraging, safely go into Cobalion, but I think Haxorus is the play here. Setting up that Dragon Dance, he could, I mean, I could have Earthquake very easily, and so I'm not gonna stress too much about it. He's gonna see that I'm Unnerved, not Mold Breaker, which ends up not mattering in this match at all, and I'm gonna set up a D-Dance here. So if he switches out, then I get a free D-Dance up. If he stays in and goes for a Will-O-Wisp, which is kind of what I'm expecting him to do, then I get the Lumberry off, and we get to take something out. Again, Cobalion could switch in here, but because I'm not locking myself into anything, Roadhog the Pilliswine comes out, which is going to take Stealth Rocks. And at +1, depending on his investment, an Outrage should kill. Maybe not after Stealth Rocks. Now I could switch out at this point. He's probably just going to Icicle Crash. So either Ditto, which is an interesting switch, or Milotic would be decent switches into this thing if he thinks he can take the hit. Now I should be able to take an Icicle Crash. I can't necessarily take an Avalanche from this, but I should be able to take an Icicle Crash. But I don't necessarily want to. You know, it just doesn't seem like a good idea. And Milotic comes in and is able to Click Recover again. So yeah, I just set up. That's fine. I'm not going to worry about wasting the setup right now. I am going to go into Milotic here. What's he going to go for? Icicle Crash. Yep. Lands it. That's fine. And Milotic takes... I don't even think it did damage. My burn probably did more than his Icicle Crash just did. Now, he could set up his rocks here. That is what it is. I can just go for a Scald as well, which I think is probably my better play, since he's probably going to switch into the Cobalion and Taunt, and then... But then I just Scald, like the same thing as before. My Milotic just stays in and Scalds over and over. Nothing is going to take it out that isn't the Charizard from this range, even after one more burn, so I can just click Scald. Getting some damage on this Pilliswine would be huge. He's going to go out into Mew at this point, so yeah, Mew doesn't kill me with anything, because he's not running enough investment. We saw on the Psychic earlier that he's just not running a ton of investment, and if Psychic was the best way to hit Milotic, then he's probably going to click Soft Boiled or something here. And obviously that's annoying, because that means this battle probably will end up going to Timer if that's the case. And I'm not sure who's going to win at Timer at this point. But I'm going to click Recover here. I have no choice. I really don't want to see this battle go to Timer. I have so many Wall Breakers. He's got Defog, so he gets his rocks away. That's fine. So, no whatchamacallit. Soft-boiled yet, which is fine, so we do see Defog. It's the fact that he ran so many things with leftovers and Eviolite that it's like, come on, dude, let me kill you. That's okay. We're just going to click Scald again. If Mew does soft-boiled here, then it's soft-boiled here. And if it doesn't, yeah, there's a soft-boiled. So I kind of wish I'd just gone straight for the Scald there, just in order to take out the Mew without it going for the soft-boiled. But if he stays in and continues to click soft-boiled, the Toxic's going to start racking up. Now, at this point, I could safely switch into Victini, which may be my best play, just because I do want to make sure that if I do go to Timer, and I'm trying not to go to Timer, that I end up winning the fight. You know, like, I definitely want to make sure that I win. And he's got... Everything's kind of chipped away on his team. You know, nothing's at full health anymore. Pilliswine had a little bit of Stealth Rock, Cobalion is down with the Scald, Mew's not at full, Zygarde's low. So I could stay in with Milotic and win the game that way. That's not an ideal way to win the game. I'm going to go into Victini here, and be able to click V-Create, as he probably soft-boils another time here. Yeah, there's another soft-boiled, so I'm going to expect him not to be like max speed or anything, so I'm probably going to outspeed this thing. And he's going to take a lot of toxic damage here. So he's going to go back down again. And Victini, it's not in the sun anymore, unfortunately, to a Mew with some decent bulk investment. I'm doing 67 to 79%. He's at 74. So after toxic damage, that kills as well. U-Turn's doing 40%, which isn't quite enough. So I'm going to go for the V-Create. Let's just kill something. Let's be aggressive. He's going to go out into Mufasa, which is Cobalion. So he's going to let Cobalion go down here, this V-Create. That's fine. Again, I want to make sure that if we go to timer, and I don't want to go to timer, I have the Pokemon advantage. So I don't want it to go to HP, because I never know who's going to win that. So at this point, again, he does have the pretty free ability to go into the Zygarde and set up a substitute, which is super annoying. Yeah, there's Zygarde, and he's at like 20-something%. Now, I could stay in and go for a V-Create, but I don't think that's going to be a good play. Because if he does decide to go for an attack here, then my Victini just goes down. And Victini handles the rest of his team. Every time it switches in, something dies. Now I could make the aggressive switch here into Tornadus, which dies to 1,000 arrows, but then if he does go for the 1,000 arrows, I just go out into my Haxorus. He hasn't shown the Dragon-type move yet. And then Haxorus just clicks D-Claw, because he doesn't have a sub up. And if he does sub, then I break his sub before he attacks me. Because Superpower should break a sub. I mean, I max attack Jolly, but... yeah, Superpower should break his sub. Depending on his investment, actually, it may not. I think that's my best play, though, is because then if he goes for the 1,000 arrows, then I just go into Haxorus and he dies. So he has to sub here. Staying in would have been extraordinarily aggressive. If he goes straight for the 1,000 arrows, that's fine, because again, Haxorus will outspeed this thing every time. So yeah, 1,000 arrows comes out. So Zygarde kills Tornadus with 1,000 arrows, and I can bring in my Haxorus here, and I can go straight for a D-Claw. His Cobalion's dead, so nothing really wants to switch in on this. I obviously can't set up a Dragon Dance. I'm not letting him take me out, because that would just be basically game. If he does go into his Piloswine, that's okay. The other thing I do is lock myself in Outrage at this point, and just let myself go down to the Piloswine when he does switch it in. Because do I 2-hit KO a Piloswine with an Outrage without being at +1? After one layer of Stealth Rocks? Depending on his spread. Depending on his spread. I'm gonna go for the Dragon Claw. It's safer, allows me to switch out, and kills his Zygarde, hands down, because I have the Unnerve, so even if he had the Habanberry, this would kill his Zygarde. And he is gonna switch out, that's fine. And he goes out into his Piloswine here, but that, I mean, the Dragon Claw allows me to hit it, and see his spread. Super bulky. Super bulky. Okay. Yeah, there's no sense staying in here. Milotic's safe. Milotic is safe, and if he goes into the Mew there, then he goes into the Mew there. So we're gonna go into Milotic here. He sets up his rocks at this point. That's really bad. That's actually terrible. So at this point, it's either straight attack things and do damage and eventually win, because I can't keep switching in now because the HP is going to be wearing down. So I am going to click Scald here. He's probably going to bring in his Mew, and he's just going to click Soft Boiled a whole bunch of times. I could have been really aggressive there and switched out. But I think, actually, the play might be going into Victini at this point, just straight up, knowing that even if he clicks Psychic, it's not a big deal. And because he's just gonna be soft boiling to try to win on the HP. Everything's at full right now, and if I just stay in with my Lodic for 20 minutes, then I win the game. But I hate that. I hate that. If I go into Victini, I kill something. Straight up. But then he goes into Zygarde, and then he kills something in return. Straight up. Unless I go into my Lodic. Now the other thing I could do is go into Haxorus here, set up a Dragon Dance, and then click Outrage. Since Psychic's is the only thing to hit me and he's not invested at all. Not Hidden Power Psychic, what are you doing? That still does 50% to a Haxorus. I have to go into Victini here. And then I just click V-Create. And I hate this because he may win on HP. And if I lose because of HP at the end of this, whatever. You know? He goes straight out into Charizard. Super aggressive play here. This is a speed tie with Victini, mind you. Victini lives any one hit, but an Air Slash flinch would be really bad. But I click V-Create. It's a speed tie if he's timid. What am I gonna do? It's a speed tie if he's timid. If he's modest, then I outspeed. He withdraws. He goes out into Mew. With Mew going down. And it does. With Mew going down, he doesn't have the recovery now to out-recover me. And he goes out into Zygarde. Now I could go straight into my Lodic here. But we end up in, like, super stalemate once again. But with a little bit of damage on his Piloswine, I think Outrage is a 2-hit KO on it now. Even if I'm not at +1. We did about 25% with Dragon Claw, so we know he's pretty bulky. So he can't hard switch it in. But Victini speed tie, well, Ditto can still deal with Charizard if it has to. And if I can get to +1 on Haxorus, then I'm in good shape. Now at this point, if he goes for a substitute and I stay in, I'm in great shape. If he goes for 1,000 arrows and I stay in, I just go into Haxorus, right? And I click Outrage at that point. So we're gonna V-Create. He goes straight for 1,000 arrows. That's okay. Again, we just walked through this in my head. So Zygarde kills Victini with 1,000 arrows, and then I go into Haxorus. He still hasn't shown me the Dragon type move, but that's fine. I just click Outrage at this point, which should 2-hit KO a Piloswine. It's not a safe switch into me, but because he hasn't shown me his 4th move, I can't just safely click Dragon Dance here. And his Piloswine, from where it's at, theoretically should die 2 Outrages. But if he doesn't, then Zygarde wins in the game. I don't think I have a choice. I think I'm going to click it. He is going to switch out. I could have gone for the Dragon Dance there, but even then, it doesn't really make sense for me to do that. If I had Stealth Rocks up at this point, this would be great. Let's take a look at how much this Outrage does. And that does 2-hit KO this thing. So he could, if I get the 2-turn here, then his Charizard can come in. I don't think his Charizard kills with anything from here. Unless he has Overheat. If he has Overheat, then he does. But he had Toxic, so I think there's Ice Shard, which doesn't kill. Does a little chunk. Now Charizard will kill, though, so 2-turn Outrage would actually be preferred. Then I can switch out. And so his Piloswine had Ice Shard. And the Sunlight fades, which is what it is. And I do get the 3-turn Outrage, which actually sucks because he goes into Charizard here. Haxorus kills Piloswine with Outrage. If he goes into Zygarde here, I win. If he goes into Charizard here, then that's not great. And Charizard's obviously his play, because of what he did. The damage he did there with Ice Shard was massive. And I had no choice. I had to click Outrage there. Dragon Claw wouldn't have killed his Piloswine from that range. And a 2-turn there would have been amazing, because I could have switched right out and been able to preserve this thing for the Zygarde. There's Charizard. I mean, I'm stuck. I got no choice right now. Like, my button is already clicked. If he goes for Air Slash and misses, that'd be wild. But he's just going for Flamethrower. That should kill. If he goes for Toxic, that'd be also wild. If he goes for, like, Roost. There's a lot of options. I outspeed him because he's modest. And he survives. Oh my gosh. He survived. And goes for the Flamethrower on like 1 HP. And he kills me. Holy cow, so Charizard kills Haxorus with Flamethrower. And now it's Ditto. It's Ditto. Turning into a Charizard. I gotta scarf myself into something. What does a Flamethrower in the sun do to a Zygarde? That's the real question. So let's take a look. Zygarde. Flamethrower in the sun is doing about 45% to a Zygarde. I could click Solar Beam. We're looking at 4 turns of sun right now. What does Solar Beam do to a Zygarde? 50%? I think Solar Beam's my play here. I outspeed you. I don't know his spread, but Solar Beam or Flamethrower will definitely put him in range for my Lodic to win the game. I think... Like, the thing is, I think Solar Beam's the play, right? Because Charizard dies and I outspeed it, and it's 100% accurate in Sunlight. And it's neutral on the... It's doing more to the Zygarde, and I still have 4 turns of Sun. Harsh Sunlight, 4 turns out of 5. I'm gonna click Solar Beam. If he switches out, that's fine. Because his Charizard dies to any 1 hit that I do. And so we are going to click the Solar Beam here, which, I mean, his Charizard's at 1. His Charizard's at 1. Haxorus had a chance to get that sweep at the end of the game in its first battle on the New York Empoleon. Instead, damage rolls the Charizard to 1. But Ditto is still alive. It has the Charizard's Solar Beam. It is Scarfed. It will outspeed the Zygarde as a result of that. And it will kill the Charizard here with the Solar Beam. Zygarde is about 50%, so it might kill me, but then my Lodic comes in and can take any 1 hit from the Zygarde, which doesn't have any recovery moves. So we do see his full set, which I'll write down. Solar Beam and Roost. But he dies at this point to Ditto. Kills Charizard, Mega Zard, Y with Solar Beam. And Zygarde comes in. It's a little under 50%. Let's see his spread here. How well do you take this Solar Beam? I mean, it's a chance that it doesn't kill. Sure, but it puts it where it can't set up a substitute. And that will allow my Lodic to finish the game with a Scald when it does switch in at the end here. So we are going to click Solar Beam. It doesn't quite kill. He goes for the 1,000 arrows, which also doesn't kill. And that allows me to click Solar Beam again. And Ditto will actually finish this game out. And that slightly bulky Mega Charizard Y spread coming to backfire on you. And we do outspeed. We know we outspeed. Just because we fell down does not lower our speed at all. Just means we don't have flying types, so next time the 1,000 arrows will be super effective. There shouldn't be a next time. The sun is still up. He's got extreme speed here, which also doesn't kill, so he doesn't have the Dragon type move. So he actually makes a bulky Charizard Y, which comes back to bite him in the butt, as Ditto kills Zygarde 50% with Solar Beam. We don't have to go to timer, guys. We finished the game, a 2-0 win, our 6th in a row here as the New York Empoleon are marching through this, oh my gosh, I almost said division, but it's just the league. GBA D-League is super fun, guys. I love every one of these battles. Oh, my heart is racing right now. I thought he had it. Victini was super valuable in this match, valuing the Ditto till endgame. Him building a Mega Charizard Y that's bulky instead of offensive. Everything contributed to this fight being as hype as it was. I know it's long, and you just sat through probably 55 to 60 minutes of content on my side, but I encourage you to go watch Melon's side as well. I know I'm going to watch it, see why he made the plays he did. He played every out he had. I think he's an amazing battler, and like I said at the beginning, he's British, so you should watch his side instead. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed this battle. We will be coming back next week taking on Turbo and the Phoenix Midnights in that match with just 3 weeks left. Turbo, Danza, CJ, and the season is over if we don't make the playoffs. Now, I hope we are going to make ourselves known in this league. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys next week. Take care, everybody.